The unexpected encounter. It was an ordinary day, just like any other. The sun was shining, the streets were buzzing with the usual hustle and bustle, and everyone seemed to be going about their daily lives without a care in the world. The air was warm, and there was the soft hum of distant conversations as people moved along the sidewalks. It was the perfect day for a walk in the park. John, a regular guy, was no different. He had just finished his work for the day and decided to enjoy a bit of fresh air. The park was his favorite place to clear his mind. He often walked along the winding paths, watching the trees sway gently in the breeze. But today, something was different. Something was wrong. As he strolled down the path, a strange sensation washed over him. It was as if the air itself had shifted, becoming heavier, thicker. The birds stopped singing and the wind seemed to stop blowing. John paused, looking around, confused. The park, which had been so full of life just moments ago, now felt eerily silent. His heart began to race, his instincts telling him something was off. And then, without warning, the sky above him seemed to change. It wasn't gradual. One moment, the sky was blue, and the next, dark clouds began to swirl in a circular pattern, quickly growing larger and darker. The birds took flight, scattering in all directions as though they were fleeing from some unseen danger. John's breath caught in his throat. He could hardly believe what he was seeing. A massive shape began to materialize in the sky, slowly descending toward the park. It looked like a ship, a huge metallic craft glowing with an eerie light. The air hummed with the sound of its descent, sending a shiver down his spine. He took a step back, his mind racing. What was that? Was it some kind of military craft, or maybe a new experimental aircraft? But no, this was something else. There was something unnatural about the way it moved, how it shimmered and glowed. It wasn't like anything John had ever seen before. Before he could gather his thoughts, a beam of light shot out from the craft, illuminating the ground in a brilliant, blinding flash. The next thing John knew, the light was gone, and there, standing in front of him, was a figure, a person or something that looked like one. She was tall, with skin that shimmered like silver, and her eyes glowed a strange, otherworldly green. She was dressed in a sleek, futuristic suit that seemed to move with her, almost as if it were alive. John's mouth went dry. He opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. He could barely comprehend what was happening. The woman, or whatever she was, stood before him, looking down at him with an intensity that made him feel small and vulnerable. "You are mine now," she said in a voice that seemed both foreign and familiar at the same time. It was smooth, almost musical, but there was something powerful in it, something commanding. The words hit him like a punch to the gut. He tried to speak, but nothing came out. The alien, or was she a human from the stars, took a step closer to him. Her eyes locked onto his, and for a moment it felt like the entire world had faded away. All that mattered was her gaze. John's heart began to race again, but this time it wasn't fear. It was something else, something strange. It was like an invisible force was pulling him toward her, tugging at him from deep inside. What do you mean?" John finally managed to stammer, his voice barely above a whisper. She tilted her head slightly, as if considering his question. "My species allows only one mate. You are the one I have chosen. The bond is already forming. There is no escape." John's mind spun. Mate. He had no idea what she was talking about. What did she mean by chosen? His thoughts were a whirlwind, his heart pounding in his chest. This couldn't be real, could it? This was like something out of a science fiction movie, not something that could happen in real life. But the woman before him seemed so real, and the strange sensations coursing through his body were all too real. She stepped even closer, and now he could feel a strange warmth radiating from her. It wasn't heat like the sun. It was something deeper, something that resonated within him. His mind screamed for him to run to get away from this alien presence. But his body didn't obey. He couldn't move. "You will come with me," she said, her tone firm but not unkind. "The bond must be completed. There is no turning back." John's head was spinning. He wanted to ask more questions, but the words wouldn't come. The only thing he could do was stare at her in stunned silence. And then, as quickly as she had appeared, the strange alien girl reached out and touched his arm. The contact sent a shock of electricity through his body, and for the first time he felt it, the pull. A deep, overwhelming pull that seemed to come from within his very soul. He opened his mouth to protest, but the words died in his throat. The world around him seemed to blur as the bond began to take hold, and before he knew it, he was no longer standing alone in the park. The mysterious alien's purpose. John stood there, frozen in place, his mind struggling to comprehend what was happening. The park, the trees, the air, it all felt like a distant memory now, as if the world around him had been erased. There was only the alien girl and the strange, unexplainable sensation that was growing stronger inside him with every passing second. Her touch still lingered on his arm, the warmth seeping deeper into his skin. You're serious, aren't you?" John whispered, his voice trembling. His eyes darted from her glowing green eyes to her smooth, silver skin, searching for some sign that this was all just a dream. But there was no hint of illusion. She was real, and she was not here to play. The alien girl, with her expression unreadable, simply nodded. "I am not here to explain your world," she replied, her voice calm and steady. "I am here to complete what has already begun." John's chest tightened, his heart hammering faster as the weight of her words sank in. What had begun? What was she talking about? Was he in danger? "Why me?" he asked, his voice shaky. Why me?" Her lips parted slightly, almost as if she were considering whether to answer him. Then she spoke, her words filled with an ancient weight that sent a chill crawling down John's spine. "Because my species only bonds with one mate for eternity. We cannot choose. We are chosen. The bond was forged the moment you stepped into the light." John's head was spinning. The light, the strange beam that had come down from the sky when the ship arrived. That was when everything had changed. He remembered the way he had felt, nervous, confused, but then there was that pull, that undeniable force that had drawn him to her. Was that the bond she was talking about? "But I didn't choose this," John protested, his voice rising in desperation. "I don't even know you." She stepped closer, her presence overpowering and undeniable. "You did not need to choose. The bond has already chosen you. It is as much a part of you now as it is a part of me." John swallowed hard, his throat dry, as he tried to make sense of it all. "So what happens now?" he asked, the words barely escaping his lips. The alien girl's eyes glowed brighter, and she gave him a small, almost sad smile. "Now you learn what it means to be chosen." She paused, taking a slow, deliberate step back. "But there is more, much more that you do not understand." John felt a surge of unease at her words. "What do you mean?" Her expression softened slightly, her glowing eyes searching his face. "My kind, the etc., have existed for millennia. We are not like you. We do not experience love as you know it. For us, a bond is not simply emotional. It is a union of mind, body, and spirit. Once the bond is formed, there is no separation." John tried to process her words, but they only made things worse. "So we're stuck together, forever." She nodded slowly, her gaze never leaving his. "Yes, you will feel it soon enough. It is a connection that binds us in every way. There is no going back, John." A cold shiver ran down his spine as he absorbed her words. Forever. The concept of eternity seemed impossible to grasp. How could anyone commit to something they had no control over? How could he be bound to this alien for the rest of his life without any say in the matter? "But I don't even know what you are," he said, frustration creeping into his voice. "You're not human, you're not like anything I've ever seen." The alien girl didn't flinch. "You will learn we are not so different. We share more than you realize." She lifted her hand, and suddenly a strange image appeared in the air before them. It flickered like a hologram, showing a landscape John had never seen before. The sky was dark purple, and massive floating structures drifted lazily above a world of towering forests and sparkling rivers. Creatures that resembled no earthly animal moved gracefully through the landscape, their movements harmonious and fluid. The alien girl's homeworld. "This is my world," she explained. "It is called Exanthara. It is a place where the bond between mates is sacred. Once chosen, we are connected not only in body but in spirit. Our bond forms a link that transcends time. It is the heart of our civilization." John's mind struggled to absorb the image, the strange beauty of it all leaving him in awe. But he couldn't shake the feeling of dread that had settled in his chest. He wanted to ask more questions, to find some logical explanation, but the answers she gave only led to more confusion. "You've taken me away from everything I know. You're telling me I can never go back," John said, his voice trembling with frustration. "How am I supposed to live like this?" The alien girl's expression softened. She reached out and gently placed a hand on his shoulder. The warmth of her touch was almost comforting, but it didn't remove the fear gnawing at his insides. "You are not alone in this, John," she said, her voice soft, almost reassuring. "You will have me, and together we will face everything that comes. But first you must learn to accept the bond. Only then can we proceed." John stared at her, his mind racing. He couldn't deny that part of him felt an inexplicable pull to her, something beyond logic, beyond reason. But could he truly accept this? Could he embrace a life so different from everything he had known? Before he could speak, a low hum filled the air. The alien girl's eyes flickered with something like concern, and she glanced upward where the sky had grown dark once more. Something was coming, something that would change everything. "Stay close," she said urgently, her hand gripping his arm. "The bond has just begun, but we are not the only ones who know about it." Struggling with the bond. John's heart raced as the world around him began to shift once again. The alien girl's grip on his arm tightened, and for a moment he thought he might lose his balance. The park, once so familiar and comforting, was now distant, like a fading memory. The strange force that had pulled him toward her earlier seemed to intensify, making it almost impossible to focus on anything else. His mind was a whirlwind of confusion and panic. What was happening to me? Why can't I think straight? The alien girl's glowing eyes were fixed on him, watching him with a quiet intensity. The strange warmth from her touch was still lingering on his skin, as if her very presence was rewriting something deep inside him. It wasn't just physical, it was emotional, spiritual. John couldn't explain it, but he felt like something was changing inside him, something irreversible. "You're not alone in this, John," she repeated softly, her voice almost soothing. "But you must accept the bond, fight it, and it will only grow stronger. The pull you feel, it's not something you can escape." John wanted to argue, wanted to scream that he didn't ask for any of this. But the words didn't come. Instead, he found himself standing there, almost paralyzed by the strange force that seemed to be holding him in place. His mind flashed back to his life before this, before the alien ship, before the glowing eyes and strange words. He had been just another guy living a quiet life. He'd had friends, a job, a normal routine. There was nothing special about him. And yet now he was standing in the middle of a park with an alien, bound to her by something he didn't understand. "Why me?" John whispered again, the question more desperate this time. The alien girl's gaze softened. She took a small step back, studying him for a moment. "You are special, John. Your mind, your heart, they are unlike any other human. We have watched your species for a long time, and you are the one who was chosen. The bond chose you because you are capable of something greater." John couldn't understand her. Capable of what? What do you mean? Her lips curled into a faint smile. "The bond will make you stronger. You will feel it soon enough. And when you do, you will understand why you are the one I need." Her words made no sense, and yet in the pit of his stomach, John felt something stir, something deep and ancient. He could feel it, the subtle shift inside him, like a door opening he never even knew existed. The pull was undeniable now. The alien girl's gaze seemed to pierce right through him as she continued. "The bond is not just physical, John. It connects us on a deeper level. It will change you, but it will also give you strength. It is a connection forged in the stars, one that only a few humans are capable of." John shook his head, trying to clear the fog in his mind. "This can't be real. This can't be happening." He backed away slightly, his chest tight with panic. He wanted to run. He wanted to escape, but his feet refused to move. He felt trapped. The alien girl, sensing his distress, stepped forward. Her hand reached for him, and though his instinct was to pull away, his body betrayed him. Her touch was gentle, but it sent another shockwave of warmth through his body. "You cannot escape it, John," she said softly. "You are already bound to me. There is no turning back." John wanted to argue, wanted to scream at her to stop, but his thoughts were becoming clouded. "What is happening to me?" His head felt heavy, his thoughts scattered. The more he tried to resist, the stronger the pull became. He could feel it deep inside him now, a subtle tug at his very core. It was as though his body was being drawn toward her against his will, like an invisible string binding them together. His heart pounded louder in his chest. "Please stop," he whispered, his voice barely audible. The alien girl paused, her expression unreadable. For a moment there was silence between them, the only sound the soft rustle of leaves in the trees above. And then, with a deep breath, she spoke again, her voice more compassionate now, as if trying to ease his fear. "I know this is difficult, John. The bond is not easy to accept at first. But it is natural. It is part of who we are, and part of who you are now." John closed his eyes, his head spinning. Everything he knew, everything he had understood about the world was slipping away. He felt different. It wasn't just the overwhelming sense of her presence, but something inside him had shifted. There was a new force in him now, one that he didn't understand but couldn't deny. It felt like a part of him had been awakened. I don't want this," he said again, his voice breaking. "You don't have to want it," she replied quietly. "The bond does not ask for your consent, it simply is, but you will learn to embrace it, and when you do, you will understand." Her words echoed in his mind, and for a moment the world around him seemed to blur. He wasn't sure if it was the bond or his own fear, but the edges of reality were beginning to fade. The pull was stronger than ever, like an ocean tide dragging him under. Just when he thought he might lose himself completely, something shifted within him, an inner resistance. He couldn't explain it, but a small part of him fought back against the overwhelming sensation. He took a deep breath and forced himself to look at her. "I don't know if I can accept this," he said, his voice quiet but steady. "I don't know if I can do what you're asking." The alien girl stared at him, her expression unreadable, but her eyes softened ever so slightly. "You don't have to do it alone, John," she said. "The bond will be difficult at first, but together we will face everything. You don't have to accept it all at once, but in time you will see, you will understand." John looked up at her, uncertainty flooding his heart. He didn't know what was happening to him, but deep down he knew that this strange alien bond was just the beginning. Whatever came next, he couldn't run from it. Not anymore. The call of the stars. John's body trembled as the bond continued to pulse within him, its presence undeniable. His thoughts were a haze of confusion and fear, but one thing was clear: nothing in his life would ever be the same. The alien girl, standing so close to him, seemed to be waiting for something, watching him with an intensity that made him feel exposed. Her glowing eyes locked onto his, as if she could read every thought swirling in his head. "You feel it now, don't you?" she asked softly, her voice almost a whisper, as though she were speaking to him across an infinite distance. John swallowed hard, trying to suppress the growing pressure in his chest. He could feel the bond. It was a living, pulsing thing inside him, a sensation he couldn't escape. It wasn't like a physical pain, but it was consuming in a way he hadn't anticipated. It was as if something deep inside him was stretching, pulling, and shifting, adapting to something far beyond his comprehension. I don't know what to do," he confessed, his voice strained. "It feels like I'm losing control." The alien girl nodded slowly, her lips curling into the faintest of smiles, though it wasn't one of comfort. "That is the beginning, John. The bond is not just a connection, it is a transformation. It reshapes you from the inside out. Your body, your mind, your spirit, they are all adapting to something new, something that will unlock your true potential." John wanted to argue. He wanted to yell at her, to tell her this wasn't what he wanted. But he knew deep down that he wasn't in control anymore. The bond had already taken root, and there was no going back. "You are becoming something more," she continued, her voice low and purposeful. "The transformation will come in waves. At first, you will resist. You will feel the pull, the desire to fight it. But eventually, you will yield. And when you do, you will understand what it means to be one with me." A chill ran down John's spine at her words. He looked up at her, his mind racing. "One with you? What does that mean? What do you expect from me?" Her expression softened, but there was still an air of mystery surrounding her. She reached out, placing a hand gently on his shoulder, and the warmth from her touch spread through him like fire. "It means that we will become inseparable, John. Our bond will grow stronger with time. It will link us in ways you cannot yet understand. You will feel what I feel. You will think what I think. And together we will forge a new path." John shook his head, his pulse quickening as he tried to pull away from the overwhelming sensation inside him. "This isn't just about us, is it? There's something more going on, something you're not telling me." The alien girl's eyes narrowed slightly, as though she were weighing his words. Then, with a slow breath, she spoke again, her voice heavy with meaning. "You are right, this bond is not only personal. It is the key to something much larger. My people, the Etc., have searched the stars for centuries, seeking the one who would help us change the course of our fate. That one is you, John." John blinked, taken aback by her words. "What are you talking about? I'm just a regular guy. I don't know anything about changing the fate of anyone, let alone an entire species." She looked at him with something close to sadness, but there was a determination in her gaze. "You will, you must. The Etc. are at a crossroads. Our people are dying, John. Our civilization is slowly decaying, and we cannot save ourselves. We need the power of the bond to restore us, to awaken abilities that have been dormant for centuries. But for that to happen, we need you and the bond between us." John felt a cold wave of shock wash over him. He staggered back, trying to process the enormity of what she was saying. Wait, wait a minute. Are you saying that I'm the key to saving your entire race? That this bond, this thing inside me, can actually fix everything? The alien girl nodded, her gaze unblinking. Yes, the bond will unlock abilities within you, abilities that will allow us to heal, to rebuild. But you must accept it fully, John. The power of the Xatra bond is not something you can fight against. It is not something you can control, but it is the only way. John staggered slightly as the weight of her words hit him. His breath quickened and his mind raced with 1,000 questions, each more terrifying than the last. What kind of abilities? What does this really mean for me? For humanity? The alien girl took a step closer to him, her eyes filled with a strange intensity. There is one more thing you must understand. The bond not only links us, but it connects us to the stars. You will feel the call of the cosmos, John. You will feel the pull of a greater purpose, something far beyond this world. And once you hear it, you will never be the same. A shiver ran through John's body at the thought. He had always thought of the stars as a distant, unreachable mystery. But now it seemed like they were reaching for him, calling him to something beyond his understanding. Something he couldn't escape. I don't know if I'm ready for this, he whispered, his voice cracking. The alien girl studied him for a moment, and then she spoke with quiet resolve. You do not need to be ready, John. You were chosen because you have the strength to endure. You were chosen because you have the potential to change everything. All you must do now is accept it. John's mind felt like it was about to explode with the weight of everything he had just learned. He could feel the pull of the bond growing stronger, urging him to surrender to it, to accept this alien world, this impossible destiny. But how could he? How could anyone just accept something so foreign, so beyond comprehension? But as the alien girl's words echoed in his mind, John felt something stir deep within him. It wasn't just fear anymore, it was something else. Something powerful, something ancient. The call of the stars, the promise of something greater. He closed his eyes, taking a deep breath, and when he opened them again, he saw her, his bond, his mate, standing before him. The awakening. The pull was stronger now, undeniable and constant. It was no longer just a tug at his chest. It felt like the very fabric of his soul was being stretched, reshaped. John could no longer escape the sensation. The bond had become a part of him, as much a part of him as his own heartbeat. It whispered to him, not in words, but in feelings, in instincts, in flashes of images he didn't understand. He stood there in the silence of the park, his hands trembling. The alien girl, his mate, watched him closely, her gaze unwavering. She seemed to sense the battle raging inside him, as if she could feel his every hesitation, his every doubt. I don't understand, John said, his voice barely above a whisper. Why is this happening to me? I'm not special. I'm just me. I'm just a guy. Her eyes softened and she stepped closer, her presence enveloping him like a warm, comforting cloak. You are more than you think, John, she replied softly, her voice like a melody. Your species is full of untapped potential. You just need the right catalyst to awaken it. And that is what I am here for, to help you realize what you truly are. John shook his head, frustration flooding him. I didn't ask for this. I don't want any of this. The alien girl's eyes flashed with something that almost looked like sadness, but she remained calm, patient. You do not need to want it. The bond does not ask for your consent. It only asks for your acceptance. John clenched his fists, trying to fight the rising tide of panic. His body was reacting in ways he didn't understand. His senses were sharper, his thoughts clearer, as if the bond was amplifying everything inside him, making him more than he ever thought he could be. It was terrifying, overwhelming, but it also felt inevitable. The alien girl tilted her head as if she were waiting for him to realize something. You are not just any human, John. You were chosen because of something deep within you. Your mind, your heart, the potential to connect with the stars. This bond, she paused, her voice becoming more intense. It will unlock everything inside you, and when it does, you will see that you are more than just a human. You will become something greater. John stared at her, his breath coming in shallow bursts. Something greater? What does that even mean? Without warning, the world around them seemed to shift. The park faded away, and the space between them stretched, filled with the sound of a deep, otherworldly hum. John's vision blurred, and before he knew it, the air around them shimmered, warping like a heat haze. The alien girl's form flickered, her outline becoming translucent, as though she were fading into the very air around him. For a moment, John thought he might be losing his mind. Was this all in his head? Was he hallucinating? But then he felt it, sharp and undeniable. The bond between them flared to life. His body surged with energy, his senses expanding. He could feel her presence deep inside him, not just beside him, but within him. Her emotions, her thoughts, they were flooding him. And in the same moment, he realized something. He could feel her connection to the stars. The distant, cosmic pull that had once seemed so far away was suddenly alive inside him, urging him forward. John, the alien girl's voice echoed in his mind, though her lips never moved. You are awakening. The bond is unlocking your true potential. You can feel it now, can't you? The call of the cosmos, the power that flows from it. John gasped, his mind reeling. He could hear the stars now. He could feel the energy of the universe coursing through him, filling every part of his being. It was overwhelming, like a flood of knowledge, of ancient truths crashing into him. He saw flashes of far-off galaxies, of civilizations that had risen and fallen, of cosmic forces that shaped the very fabric of existence. "Why me?" John cried out, his voice strained with a mixture of awe and terror. "What is all of this? Why am I the one?" The alien girl's form solidified once again, and she looked at him with a quiet intensity, her eyes burning with ancient wisdom. You were chosen because you have the heart to accept the power, John. The stars have been waiting for you. Your bond with me connects us both to something far beyond this world. The potential for growth, for understanding, for strength. It is all within you. You were born to awaken it. John's breath quickened as the visions in his mind grew more vivid. He saw himself standing on alien worlds, surrounded by beings unlike anything he had ever known. He felt the pulse of the universe thrumming beneath his feet, and in the distance, he saw a dark shadow growing. It was like a storm moving across the stars, swallowing everything in its path. A cold shiver ran down his spine. What is that? What's coming? The alien girl's eyes darkened, and for the first time, John saw the depth of fear in her gaze. That is why you must accept the bond, John. That is why you are the one. The shadow is growing. A force unlike any we've ever encountered before. It threatens all of us. And only you, only the one chosen to wield the power of the bond, can stop it. John staggered backward, his mind reeling. The weight of her words settled in his chest like an anchor. The shadow, a force that could destroy everything. And the only way to stop it was for him to accept the power of the bond, to become something more. He shook his head, his thoughts a jumbled mess. I can't do this. I'm not strong enough. I'm just a guy. You are so much more than that, the alien girl said gently, her voice a calm anchor in the storm of his mind. You don't have to be ready, you don't have to understand everything, but you must choose to embrace it. The bond is not just a curse, John, it is a gift that will help you protect everything you love. John looked at her, his heart heavy with uncertainty. The bond, the call of the stars, the growing shadow, it was all too much. But deep down in the pit of his stomach, something stirred, a flicker of determination, a spark of understanding. Maybe he wasn't just a guy. Maybe, just maybe, he was the one who could change everything. Okay, he whispered, the words barely escaping his lips. Okay, I accept it, I'll do it, I'll fight. The alien girl's eyes glowed with a warmth that filled his chest, and for the first time since all of this began, John felt something other than fear. He felt a sense of purpose. Then it begins, John, she said softly. Your transformation has already started. The power within you will grow, and soon you will stand with me against the darkness that threatens us all. John closed his eyes, and as he did, he felt the bond surge through him like a storm of raw power. This was just the beginning. The world he knew was slipping away, and the person he once was fading into the past. But there was no going back now. The darkening sky. The transformation wasn't immediate. At first, John thought he could still go on living a normal life, maybe even ignore the alien girl and the bond that connected them. But he quickly realized that wasn't possible. The power inside him was growing, slowly but surely, like a seed planted deep within his chest, waiting to sprout. It wasn't just the strange sensations that had started to overwhelm him. It was the visions, flashes of distant worlds, of alien landscapes filled with strange creatures and ruins of civilizations that had crumbled under some unseen force. Sometimes he could hear the whispers of those who had fallen. Other times he saw images of the very stars themselves, twinkling in the vastness of space like distant eyes watching him. The most unsettling part, however, was the shadow. The dark force that the alien girl had warned him about, the one she claimed he could stop. It was always there, lurking in the corners of his mind, like a cloud on the horizon, waiting to descend, to consume everything. John had tried to push it out of his mind, but he couldn't. Every time he closed his eyes, it was there, a constant reminder of the fate that awaited him if he didn't embrace the power of the bond. You are still resisting, John. The alien girl's voice broke through his thoughts one evening as he sat in his apartment, staring out at the city lights below. Her presence was like a quiet hum in his mind, always there, always aware of his emotions. She had been more patient with him lately, allowing him time to adjust to the growing force inside him. But he knew, deep down, that her patience was wearing thin. I'm trying, John replied, his voice thick with frustration. But it's too much. I can't control it. I'm starting to feel like I'm losing my mind. She appeared before him, her ethereal form glowing softly in the dim light of his room. Her eyes locked onto his, and there was a softness in her gaze that he had come to recognize. She wasn't just the alien who had changed his life forever. She was also something else, something he couldn't fully comprehend. You are not losing your mind, John, she said, her voice gentle yet firm. You are simply waking up. The power inside you has always been there, waiting to be unlocked, and now that it is, you must learn to control it before it consumes you. John looked away, his hands clenched into fists. But I don't know how to control it. Every time I feel the power, it's like it's pulling me somewhere. I don't even know what I'm supposed to do with it. Her gaze softened. You do not need to control it the way you think you do. The bond is not something to be mastered with force or willpower. It is something to be embraced. It is part of you, and once you accept it fully, it will guide you. John closed his eyes, fighting the surge of frustration that bubbled up inside him. He didn't want this. He didn't want to be a part of some cosmic battle that he didn't understand. He just wanted to go back to his normal life, if that was even possible anymore. I don't know if I can do this, he whispered. I'm just... A regular guy. I don't know anything about saving anyone or fighting some dark force. I'm not a hero." "You are more than you think, John," the alien girl said softly, her voice filled with an ancient wisdom. "This is not about being a hero. This is about survival. Yours, mine, and the survival of the universe itself. You are the key to stopping the shadow that threatens everything. But first, you must learn to trust the bond. Trust me." John swallowed, his throat tight. He looked at her, his eyes filled with doubt and confusion. "And what if I can't? What if I'm not strong enough?" The alien girl stepped closer, her glowing presence filling the room with warmth. "You have strength within you, John. You only need to recognize it." For a moment, John felt a flicker of something deep within him. It was faint, but it was there. Something that felt like courage, like purpose. But it was quickly drowned out by the overwhelming weight of fear. The shadow was still out there, and he could feel it, creeping closer with each passing moment. And then, just as the thought passed through his mind, something changed. The room around him seemed to flicker, and a strange hum filled the air. His body jolted, and for a moment he felt as though he were being pulled into a vortex. His vision blurred and his senses overloaded. He could feel the bond stretching, growing, like a rope pulling him toward something vast and unknown. "John," the alien girl's voice broke through the chaos, sharp and commanding. "The bond is opening, you must focus." John clenched his teeth, trying to steady himself. But the power surging through him was unlike anything he had ever felt. His hands trembled, his heart raced, and the air around him felt thick with energy. Suddenly, a flash of light erupted from within him, and he felt his entire body ignite with a burst of power. His vision exploded with colors, flashes of alien landscapes, distant stars, and a shadow that loomed over everything. The force was like nothing he could comprehend. His body began to glow, his hands crackling with energy. The alien girl's voice was calm but urgent. "You are awakening, John. The power within you is real. You have the ability to fight the darkness, but you must embrace it. You must accept the bond completely." John's mind was on fire. The world around him seemed to collapse and expand all at once. His body was shaking, his mind was screaming, but beneath the panic, he felt something shift. It wasn't control, it was connection. The bond was no longer just a force pulling at him, it was a part of him. And then, in that moment of clarity, John understood. The power he had been fighting was not a curse, it was a gift, and with it, he could protect everything. He closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and let the power flow through him. "I accept it," he whispered, his voice trembling but resolute. "I accept the bond." And as he spoke those words, the power inside him exploded outward, enveloping the room in a brilliant burst of light. For the first time, John felt truly alive. The shadows approach. John's body hummed with a power he barely understood, yet he could no longer deny it. The bond had transformed him. The power within him was no longer just an external force. It was part of him, intricately woven into the very fabric of his being. He could feel it, pulsing in his veins in every breath he took. But even as the surge of energy began to settle, something else lingered in the air. A sense of urgency of something wrong. The shadows that had haunted his thoughts, the dark presence that the alien girl had warned him about, were closer now. He could feel them crawling at the edges of his mind, whispering in a language he couldn't understand. The very air felt different, thick with the pressure of something ancient, something terrifying. "John," the alien girl's voice echoed in his mind, soft but filled with an edge of urgency. "The bond has awakened, but with it comes the threat. The shadow draws closer. You must prepare yourself." He opened his eyes, and the room around him seemed to shimmer, as though reality itself was bending in response to his newfound power. But his thoughts were clouded with doubt. Despite the raw power inside him, he still felt weak, unready. The alien girl, despite her calm demeanor, was clearly anxious, her presence more intense than ever. "I don't even know what I'm supposed to do with all of this power," John muttered, his voice shaking as he clenched his fists. "I barely understand how to control it." The alien girl appeared before him, her ethereal form glowing softly in the dim room. Her eyes were filled with a deep, knowing sadness, but there was also a fire there, something that could not be extinguished. "The power within you is not to be controlled, John. It is to be harnessed. You must learn to let it flow through you, to connect with it, not fight it. The bond will guide you, but you must trust it. Trust yourself." He stared at her, feeling the weight of her words settle deep in his chest. Trust himself. How could he trust himself when he felt like a stranger in his own body? The world had shifted beneath him in a matter of days, and now he was supposed to be some kind of cosmic hero. It felt impossible. But then, as he looked into her glowing eyes, he saw something else. He saw a glimpse of the same fear that had haunted him since he first met her. She was no more certain than he was. Yet there she stood, waiting for him to make the choice. "Tell me more about the shadow," John said, his voice quiet but firm. "What is it? Why does it want to destroy everything?" The alien girl stepped closer, her presence growing stronger. The glow of her form flickered like the light of a distant star, as if she herself was a being of light barely contained in a world of shadows. "The shadow is not a single entity," she explained, her voice growing distant with the weight of memory. "It is a force, a presence that feeds on despair and destruction. It is ancient, older than most of the civilizations that have risen and fallen in the cosmos. Its purpose is to consume, to erase everything it touches. The bond you now share with me is the key to stopping it. But it will not be easy, John. The shadow is relentless. It will not stop until everything is consumed." John's heart pounded in his chest. He could feel it now, the weight of the impending conflict. It was no longer just about him, no longer just about the bond between them. This was about something larger, something much darker, and the shadow was coming. "You said I'm the key," John said, his voice steady, though his mind was a whirlwind of confusion. How can I possibly stop this thing?" The alien girl's gaze softened, as if she were seeing him for the first time in a different light. "You are the catalyst. The bond has unlocked abilities in you that have not been seen in your species for millennia. You are not the first human to carry the bond. You are the first to fully awaken it. The power you now hold connects you to the stars, to the ancient forces that shape the universe. But you must learn to wield it. You must learn to embrace it, to see beyond the fear." John felt the weight of her words, but still he hesitated. The fear in her eyes, the tremble in her voice, it was enough to make him doubt. If even she, the one who had guided him this far, was uncertain, what hope did he have? But just as he was about to voice his doubts, a cold wind swept through the room. It came from nowhere, chilling the air around him, and with it, the shadows in the corners of his mind seemed to grow. They twisted and writhed, reaching out like tendrils seeking to pull him into the abyss. The alien girl's form flickered, and she took a step back. "It is here," she whispered, her voice filled with dread. "The shadow approaches faster than I anticipated." The air around John crackled with a sudden, sharp energy. He could feel it, the darkness. It wasn't just a presence anymore. It was real. It was a force closing in on him, on the very space he occupied. A sudden rush of energy surged through him as if the bond itself were trying to push him forward to prepare him for what was coming. "Focus, John," the alien girl cried out, her voice echoing in his mind. "Use the bond, connect with it." Without thinking, John reached out with his mind, searching for the power within him. He felt it, like an endless current of energy flowing just beneath the surface of his consciousness. His heart raced, his palms tingling as if charged with static. The air itself was alive with energy. For a moment he faltered, his mind struggling to grasp the enormity of the task. But then something inside him clicked. The fear, the doubt, the uncertainty, it all faded. What remained was the bond, the connection, the power. He let go, and in that instant, everything changed. The power surged through him like an unstoppable torrent. His entire body glowed with light, his form crackling with raw energy. His senses expanded beyond his physical body, reaching into the fabric of the universe itself. The stars, the distant galaxies, the ancient forces of the cosmos, they were all there within him. But the darkness was still coming. John could feel it now. The shadow was closing in, a dark void that threatened to consume everything in its path. But he no longer felt afraid. He felt alive. The power within him was not something to fear, it was his ally, the key to pushing back the dark force that sought to destroy everything. He opened his eyes, the world around him glowing with energy, and in that moment he realized that he was ready. He didn't need to understand everything. He didn't need to have all the answers. What mattered was that the bond was no longer something he had to fight. It was something he had to embrace. With a deep breath, John extended his hands outward, and the power surged.